Have you ever wondered what the worst place in America is? A couple places probably come to mind. Detroit, California, New York, but it's none of these. The worst place in America is in none other than Indiana. Gary, Indiana. What are you doing? I only live about 2 hours away from this shithole. How did Gary, Indiana become such a shithole? We're gonna figure that out today. We're gonna be learning the history of Gary, Indiana, figuring out how it became such a shithole. Can it be redeemed? This video was called The Most Miserable Place in America by City Beautiful. Obviously link in the description and all that good stuff. Go check it out so you too can learn how Indiana, Gary, Indiana, became such a shithole.
This is the road that leads to Gary, Indiana. Or at least it used to. A while back, the neighboring city of Hammond was resurfacing this road and decided it was better to add a berm at the end of it so it didn't lead to Gary anymore.
That's a pretty good for them. They should do that to most roads to Indiana.
It's emptier, quieter, with vacant homes and overgrown lots. It's like a city forgotten, despite being in one of the largest metropolitan areas in the United States.
Most of Indiana's forgotten.
They base their rankings on statistics like unemployment and poverty rates. Business Insider is only the latest in a long line of publications dissing the city. Time magazine called Gary, Indiana, the very model of urban decay.
The very model of urban decay. That just describes Indiana as a whole, not just Gary. That's just the whole state. Trust me.
Now, Gary's story is a lot like other Rust Belt cities in the United States, but the fall here was greater. Now, one question I have, because I'm a bit of an optimist, is there a turnaround in store for Gary?
No, there isn't. The people are not coming back. Trust me. No one, let me fill you in. No one comes to Indiana. People end up in Indiana. The only way people come to Indiana is if they're going on vacation and the fucking plane crashes or something, okay? People don't come to Indiana. People get trapped in Indiana. No one on their free will comes to Indiana.
Who lived here? And it turns out my future wife did, and now I'm spending a lot of my vacation time here in Gary in Northwest Indiana.
Why? This has to be the first human on the planet I've heard that went to Indiana for vacation. Me, the Bowl ranks you as the worst vacation destination decisioner ever.
Fascinated with this city, and I'm so excited to be doing a video about it. So let's get into the history.
There's nothing fascinating about Indiana. No part of it.
This often meant that the company owned the homes the workers lived in and the stores they shopped at. Great for the company, not so great for the workers. Okay, so basically, the iron companies built the entire city and then dipped out, and so everyone else dipped out. That's what it sounds like. U.S. Steel wanted to avoid that outcome. Thus, Gary was planned as a community where workers would own their own homes and democratically elect their own completely separate city government.
Okay, so it also sounds like at one point, it wasn't a complete shithole.
Lack of paternalistic vision was probably wise, but it led to a rather bland urban design.
Again, that just describes all of Indiana. Bland urban design.
U.S. Steel got into home construction to try and house more workers, but even their modestly priced housing was out of reach of the lowest paid unskilled workers. Land promoters and speculators built ramshackle barracks and tenement housing to fill the gap.
Okay, I retract my statement. Gary, Indiana's been a shithole from the start, it sounds like. I had a little hope that maybe when it was created, it wasn't completely horrible. No, it's always been shit.
White workers had begun to move out of Gary to nearby suburbs, an example of the white flight phenomenon.
The white flight phenomenon.
Hatcher won, becoming with Carl Stokes of Cleveland the first black mayors of major American cities.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
White residents took that as their cue to leave, not willing to live in a city where black residents made up the majority and having a mayor that was also black.
I keep feeling this sense of responsibility to explain ourselves here in Indiana. I can't. Go talk to the people in Gary. You know, the 5 people that are there. They can explain themselves.
Meanwhile, Gary became the center of the black political landscape, hosting the 1972 Black Political Convention.
Can we talk about real quick how much better hairstyles were in the 80s? People had it down in the 80s. Mustache, the sideburns, and the afro. I want that. Nowadays, with these kids with their vapes, you walk outside and they got a little shaved sides and curly fuck hair. I want 80s hair. People also dressed a lot cooler in the 80s. Nowadays, people dress like fuckheads.
When most people leave, the infrastructure is still there and costs money to maintain and operate.
That explains about 80% of Indiana. Empty buildings that are graffitied and vandalized to shit.
The city is using what little money they have to demolish buildings, most notably its empty public schools. It's cheaper to demolish them than maintain them empty. Today, Gary only has one public high school left.
There's one high school in the whole city? How many kids go there? Like 4?
Is it possible to pull Gary out of this nosedive? Well, on paper, Miller Beach, a wealthier and whiter enclave of Gary, still has some life left in it. And housing, unsurprisingly, is extremely affordable here.
Sounds like I'm moving to Gary. No, I'm not.
Gary's airport could easily be upgraded to handle significant passenger volumes. If that happens, it would give Gary another economic engine besides steel.
I mean, I guess I can't get into the mind of anyone who would look at any city in America, or not in America. I can't think of anyone in the country who would look at any city in Indiana and think, yep, that's where I want to go. No matter the baseball fields, the airports, the steel mills, whatever's here, no one wants to come to Indiana. Believe me.
It had once been thriving, and I hesitate to count Gary out. It faces problems greater than any city its size, and it has since it was founded back in 1906. But there is beauty here too, and I hope that the days of a growing Gary come soon.
I mean, they might. It's gonna take a lot of taxpayer dollars, though. Listen, I'll give Gary this. I'm surprised he didn't talk about this in the video. I was doing my own research on Gary, Indiana. I guess Gary is the birthplace of Elvis. I'll give Gary some credit. It birthed Elvis. It was a good city at one time. It had a lot of jobs at one time. It was super popular at one time. But it's not anymore. Just like every other city, town, county in America, I don't think it's gonna get any popular. I don't think it's gonna gain any more population. Here's a little study I want these Business Insider people or City Beautiful people to do. Here's a little experiment I want them to pull. Come back to Indiana and ask 1,000 people if they choose to live in Indiana or if they just can't afford to go anywhere else. Because I promise you, 999 of those people are gonna say, I can't afford to move nowhere else. No one comes to Indiana. People get trapped in Indiana. No one comes to Indiana. People get stuck in Indiana. And Mr. City Beautiful Man, the next time you take a vacation, don't come to Indiana. This place fucking sucks. There are some cool people. I'll admit, I've met some cool people, and there are some beautiful sights, but don't come to Indiana. Indiana's consisted of about 80% cornfields, 10% ruined, destructed buildings, and 10% drug dealers and drug users. Don't come to Indiana, ever. My name is Mike Bull, aka The Bull. Indiana resident, unfortunately. See y'all in the next one. God bless, boys.
Chrissy Poo, Chrissy Poo, Chrissy Poo, he, him. This message is from Colby Squires. And Chrissy Poo, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, as did Colby. But apparently someone is getting coal in their stockings this year. Chrissy Poo, it appears you have been a bad boy. And I know Santa, so that is not good news for you. You might want to watch Elf to cheer yourself up because you are getting coal in your stockings. And after reading this list, I'm a little bit disappointed in you, Chrissy Poo. So you lit the family couch on fire and then tortured the cat with post-Vietnam War videos? That's your precious little cat. Oh, and it says you're a Mitch Feldman fan, or maybe the cat is. It doesn't specify, but I'm going to go with you. But how can you do that to a poor little cat? It's probably getting like PTSD from watching the Vietnam War videos. Oh, the poor little thing. I can't imagine what it's going through. Why would you do that to the poor cat? And the couch on fire. Oh man, I know people do that sometimes when like their team wins a championship or they want to protest. but you got the family couch on fire, Chrissy Poo. I mean, I don't know, but there's never really a good reason for that. So, look, all is forgiven. You're a Mitch Feldman fan, so you're good in my book, but it seems like you have some smoothing over with your family to do. If you want it to really be a Merry Christmas, because I can't imagine showing up to the family Christmas party and everyone has to stand up because there's no couch anymore because you burnt it down. And the poor cat's probably like in the closet hiding, holding on for dear life because it just has PTSD from watching too many Vietnam War videos. Chrissy Poo, Chrissy Poo. Be better next year, but you know what? I still like you because you're a Mitch Feldman fan, so I forgive you. Colby and company may not. But I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish Chrissy Poo a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And a Happy New Year. This is viral superstar Mitch Feldman signing off. Thank you for being a fan. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm wishing you all the best. And I hope 2024 is your best year yet, Chrissy Poo. You take care.